Thank you for joining us today. I'm Chris Schultz, Director of Product Marketing, and today I'm joined by two of our VPs, Craig Theriac, VP of Product Management, and Dave Demlow, VP of Product Strategy. Welcome, guys.
Thanks.
So let's dive in. What is virtualization, and what role does the hypervisor play?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I mean, virtualization just refers to the creation of a virtual environment, kind of emulating the functionality of a physical computer system. That's really what allows multiple operating system or applications to run on a single physical machine. And the hypervisor is just the software that kind of allocates and manages all the physical resources to, every virtual machine has its own isolation, kind of prevents it from interfering with other VMs, preventing it from kind of stomping on the other resources of those VMs and acting as that segregation piece. And that's where the hypervisor comes in.
So has traditional virtualization simplified IT, or has it actually added more layers of complexity?
I'll jump that. If you take the pre-virtualization world where every new application you want to deploy, you'd probably go out and spec a specific piece of hardware to run that application. You'd wait weeks to get it in-house, provision it with an operating system, load your application, and then keep that up to date. Being able to leverage virtualization, leverage a hypervisor to carve up and share existing resources. Definitely simplified the environment that you can now offer shared services, things that weren't possible on a single piece of hardware, like high availability and built-in storage integration, become much simpler. And capabilities like automatic failover, for example, that just were non-existent or very, very complex in a physical box, became very, very simple to provide.
So are traditional hypervisors like VMware still worth the premium costs of license fees versus cloud or hyperconvergence?
Well, first thing to call out, I guess, is the VMware hypervisor is ESXi, and it's free. There's no actual cost to that. The cost really comes into the management tools around that. And if you take the cost of those management tools and the cost of the overhead of having the complexity that Dave just described in kind of traditional virtualization, where you've got a 3-2-1 architecture, right? Typically, you're running a handful of hosts. You've got redundant networking into some kind of shared storage underneath, either a SAN or a NAS. That's a lot of expertise for one person to have. And you take all those intangible costs added to the cost of the licensing, and all of a sudden it's pretty expensive to run. And really, the hyperconvergence and cloud, it's really all designed around simplifying that for administrators, right? Cloud is kind of the extreme example of, I'm just going to take all the IT resources. You don't have to necessarily mess with them. At least that's how it's positioned. Hyperconvergence is, that's a term that basically pulls together the storage, the compute, the hypervisor into an appliance-like experience. And it's all around simplification, easy to set up, easy to manage, just kind of all you need to run your IT infrastructure without having to give it all the care and feeding that you might have to in a traditional environment with a hypervisor like VMware's ESXi.
And then I guess the next layer, and we get asked about this a lot, Craig, is will our third-party applications run on your hypervisor?
I probably hear that from every customer that I talk to. I say that it's an extreme way to say that 70 to 80% of our customers, maybe higher these days, are coming from a VMware environment. And that's always the first thing out of their mouth. Can I run my application the way I used to within VMware on top of Scale Computing's platform? So in short, yes, absolutely. We've got thousands of customers out there that are running HyperCore, which is our HCI product. So there's a strong possibility that somebody's already running the application you have a question about already on top of us. But what we kind of taken a step back, our hypervisor is KVM based. It's basically the same thing that's been in the mainline Linux. It's kernel virtual machine. It's been there for many years. It's been field tested extensively. It's very proven out there and even really large scale environments. So rest assured that it is, it's definitely up to the challenge of whatever application you have coming our way. I would also say that, when it comes to support, now think about this, if you're running an application on top of us, it's usually going to be Microsoft based, like a Windows application, or a Linux based operating system, or a container running it within one of those environments on top of us. And it's really the operating system that's interacting with our layer, and we support all of the things that I just mentioned there with ease. So whatever applications you have running on top of that should run just fine.
So then, Dave, how is the Scale Computing hypervisor different?
Well, one of the main reasons it's different is that we really did purpose design it for this hyper-converged environment. So we didn't start with, a hypervisor that assumed separate shared storage from multiple companies, separate management layer. We designed it day one from for simplicity, for high efficiency, to be able to run efficiently on even very lightweight hardware. So things like, the storage layer, what we call Scribe, that integrates, provides the ability for us to move virtual machines around between different hypercore nodes in a cluster automatically and without downtime. That's built right in. That's not a separate piece that you have to license. It's not a separate piece that you run in a virtual machine like many alternative systems out there. And that really provides, again, as I mentioned, a lot of simplicity, that you don't have all those moving parts to update separately, to monitor separately, as well as just efficiency, that you don't have these different layers to be able to have your IO path go through. And that really, when it comes to particularly deployments in distributed edge locations, like I mentioned, in very resource constrained environments, when you're trying to get maximum type of application performance out of your resources, the Scale Hypercore Hypervisor was designed for that.
Very cool. Well, Craig, Dave, thank you very much for your time today, and thank the audience for watching.